morning. This is Sharon from Blue Moon Gardens.
And this is Mary from Blue Moon.
Nice, wonderful morning this morning. We had a little rain shower. That was a surprise.
Oh, it was a surprise.
It was nice. So that was great. Although preceding that was really humid and awful, but
we have a tropical storm moving into the Gulf Coast.
You can come, Chris.
Yeah, our employees are coming to work right now, so they're going to be walking by talking to us.
So we thought this morning we'd talk to you about coneflowers because it's the season. Do you know coneflowers? That's the thing I like to hook the most too in my rug hooking.
Well, that's true. I have noticed.
Yeah,
that.
I love coneflowers.
They have a great shape, though. Yeah, very distinctive. It's also our logo now too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
we'll show that off.
Well, you probably can't even tell, but yeah, because it's a very distinctive shape. It's an American flower, American wildflower, grew in the prairies. Of central, I should say Midwestern states originally, and has moved around and adapted very well to a lot of the country, actually a lot of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mostly we grow Echinacea purpureas, which actually is that the medicinal one too?
Augustifolia, I think is the
medicinal one.
Yeah.
Okay, so purpurea is the one that you see most commonly. And it's been exciting in the last few years. They've developed 1 million colors in these flowers. They've breeded extensively, and so they used to be this kind of color a lot, which is kind of that. I never know what to call it, lavender or pink.
They called it purple coneflower, but it's not really purple at all. It's more in the pink tones.
Right, right. So this particular one is Prairie Splendor. And it's kind of neat the way the petals are widely spaced. I think that's a little different than the original varieties, don't you think?
And the petals stand up on this one. The native variety, the petals droop down from the central cone.
Here's an example.
And that's why they're called coneflowers, because they have this middle right here that sticks up. And that is actually tiny little flowers themselves. And so bees and butterflies absolutely love these flowers.
And it's really interesting when you look at the geometric shape of that. It's just fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very architectural plants.
Right.
And they get most of them get 2 to 3 feet tall, so they add some nice height to the garden. And they're they're sturdy. They stand up. You don't have to worry about staking them or wind blowing them around or things like that.
And they're an excellent cut flower too.
Oh, they are. They last really well.
In that. So here's an example of breeding going on, because this is orange, which is so cool. I think.
It's a double flower.
Right.
See, it has that extra little row of petals
up at the top there.
The cone.
Yeah. So that's really nifty. So this one's called Hot Papaya. If you can see that, Hot Papaya. Anyway, really, really nice variety.
Yeah, interesting color.
I have to say that I'm not really totally convinced that the new hybrids are as hardy as the originals as far as coming back every
I think
winter.
you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
So,
my salsa red came back 2 or 3 years.
Good.
Yeah.
Mulch well in the fall, and that will help to keep them from freezing. This one is called Double Scoop Raspberry. Another double. You can't see the cone as well.
Beautiful color.
But I love that color. little row of, and that's a fun thing to hook, is that little extra row of flowers. Isn't that funny? Okay, here's another one we've got. No flower on this one. Lakota Fire. So really cool colors.
But you can see most of the leaves look the same on these. They're lance shaped. They're kind of grayish green.
Linear shape.
Yeah. So most of the leaves on the foliage on these plants looks very similar.
And like she said, 2 to 3 feet depending on the variety. And we also have Powwow White, which is a nice real, not a creamy, but a real white flower also.
And they don't get pests. They don't get diseased unless they get too much water. They like it dry, and they like it warm.
And another thing I don't know about these new varieties, the old-fashioned ones reseed themselves. So you'll have a lot of babies and they'll spread that way also.
Yes, very well.
So I'm not sure about the newer varieties, if they reseed or not.
I don't think they do.
Okay.
I think a lot of them are sterile.
Sterile, okay.
Yeah, because the ones I've had have never reseeded. So on the old-fashioned varieties, if you go out and deadhead, that's take off the old flowers, which is a good idea to do to get your plants to rebloom. If you just throw that dead or old dried seed pod on the ground, then those seeds will spread around and come back, and you can make your plants, you can make a bigger clump of your plants by doing that.
Which is gorgeous when you have a whole sea of those things.
It is. It's really beautiful. Yeah, one of our customers has been growing those for years at her house. Magnus is a variety she grows, and one that gets about 3 feet tall. And her clump of them is just stunning. And she said they bloom for several months.
All right.
Yeah, at least 2 months in the heat of the summer, which is nice because in Texas summer, a lot of flowers just give up and quit blooming because it's so hot. So it's nice to have something out there. We just got a little breeze and it's dropping raindrops.
I thought, is it
over
raining or what? That's hilarious.
It was kind of refreshing. I liked it.
Oh, funny.
So I'm going to talk about a different kind of coneflower, which is Rudbeckia, also known as black-eyed Susans. I thought ours was going to start blooming today, but it didn't. It's not quite there yet. But here's what the leaves look like. They're very beautiful, nice emerald green color. They grow, they spread really well.
Is this Goldstrom?
This is Goldstrom.
It's lush looking.
Yeah, it is. And it will grow in dry areas or wet areas. Sharon's old yard used to be really boggy, and she had a lot of trouble getting plants to grow
But
in
that did well.
But yeah, any of the Rudbeckias did well, didn't they? Yeah, so that was nice. So it makes a nice kind of like ground cover look when it's not blooming, and then about this time of year, early summer, it starts to head up a little bit, and then it has daisy-like flowers that have a brown or black center cone and really cheery yellow petals around it. So.
I consider it gold.
Okay. Well, it really, you're right. It really is more
because
gold
I'm not
than
a yellow person,
Yeah.
but I love the color of it, so I do consider it more gold.
It is. You're right. It is more gold. Yeah. So that is definitely one worth growing. That's probably our favorite.
So that's
Goldstrom.
Rudbeckia Goldstrom. Yeah, it seems to be the hardiest as far as returning and multiplying and all that of all the like the ones you see on the side of the road reseed themselves, but they don't just stay as a clump.
Those are Rudbeckia hirtas, and they're the ones that they have bred a lot. So there's lots of really interesting new varieties. Denver daisy and one called Indian Summer, which has a huge flower. It's probably 4 inches across, so it's stunning in the garden, but you can't expect it to return at all. They're basically annuals here. So maybe, I don't know if in a cooler climate they'd come back or not, but yeah, I'd just treat them like bedding plants and replant them every year. And they have come up with some other colors too. They've added some reds into that line, which is nice because most of the Rudbeckias are all gold. I was going to say yellow. Gold. Yeah. But we grow some other varieties that we really like too. I was kind of surprised this one was blooming. This is Herbstone. It's German.
Here, I can hold while
what is the common name? October sun?
Honestly, I don't know the common
remember.
name.
Anyway,
But
it is a really stunning plant.
It's taller.
Quite a bit taller. When it finally blooms in late summer, it heads up the foliage gets about 3 feet tall, and the flowers come up almost 6 feet tall. I think this one's old. It should be hanging down. It doesn't usually curl up like that. But it has sort of a green center. This is also a wonderful cut flower too. And I like the foliage. And this spreads really well, and the foliage makes a beautiful, almost ground cover. If you have a place where you can let it get tall when it blooms, it makes a really nice, way to cover up a big space.
Right, especially in a moisture area, it does really well too.
Yeah, so
although it does well here, and I wouldn't call our beds moist.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. So it's very forgiving about the kind of soil and the amount of water it gets. But this one's kind of hard to find. We have to dig it up and propagate it ourselves to have it. I don't know where we originally got it. So this is a native wildflower around here. It's called Rudbeckia maxima.
Here, I'll take that leaf off
There
and
you
show
go.
you.
It's got beautiful
gray. They're very gray.
leaves.
Big.
And round.
Yeah.
Which most of the other ones of the line aren't round like that.
You see this in the bar ditches now.
Yeah. I don't know what its common name is, but what most people call it is, you know, that big one that grows in the ditch.
It's Maxima.
It is,
Rebecca
yeah,
Maxima.
Yeah.
But look at that cone. Is that fabulous or what?
And they get about 6 feet tall.
Yeah, that
so
is way cool.
This is at the end of its bloom, so it does have yellow petals around the edge, but they've all fallen off now because we're getting just to the end of it. But this is a stunning specimen to put in a arrangement even without any petals on it.
Right.
And it also dries really beautifully. So, you know, if you want to do a dried arrangement, it looks really nice in that too, with that cone.
Yeah, I love
and
those
this is
things.
one where you can cut it off and drop the seeds on the ground, although it has to be a little more dry
mature
than that.
Yeah.
So, all the coneflowers are definitely worth growing. They're very tough. They add really nice interest in the garden, and they're something that blooms in the summer, which we really like.
You know what else? It doesn't bother me to leave these cones on there. You know how some plants, when they finish blooming, they just look awful, and you want to get the old flowers off really fast because they look terrible. But this, if you let this dry, you know, all these cones dry, the birds even like them, you know, so you don't really have to even cut them off right away, which is nice.
It is, because they keep their shape and their structure.
Yeah,
very well.
So I like that about them
They're not
too.
as messy looking as a lot of things.
Right.
Like we grow poppies here, and I had a new variety in the garden that I was trying to let the seeds mature, and you have to wait for the plant to totally dry up and get really awful.
And that one took forever.
It did. Sharon kept saying, "Is that ready yet?"
Every day. Can you cut that yet? And I
Can
could
we
tell
pull
you
that out of the
couldn't,
garden?
but painful.
Did you notice I finally pulled it up yesterday? It's gone.
Thank goodness.
She's out of her pan.
Yeah, it looked really bad. Anyway, so these are fun and summery, and we love them.
Yeah, so if we think of more to introduce you to as time goes on, we'll let you know. But these are the ones that are starting to bloom right now, so we wanted to share them with you. So, yeah.
So, happy gardening.
Bye.